what do you think that what got us here? How did we come to this situation that starting from a point where a cartoonist could rise to the position of a politician or a supremo, from there to this thing like politicians are unable to take jokes?
When we were not that much politically aggressive, or when to be very honest, it will be correct to say we were not politically that much aware. Awareness is also one of the things. But right now we are politically aggressive and politically aware as well. But the only catch here is our political awareness comes through not so ethical means. That how fake news, false news, propaganda based news, it is spreading throughout India, and how these Indians are even reacting positively over this false and fake agendas.
The discretion to use that power, that should that power be used or not used? It should be used, but it should not be abused. That discretion has to come in. Hello everyone, you're watching StudyIQ. I'm Rahul. I welcome you all. Today I have Praveen sir with me. We'll be discussing about recent controversies related to some comedians. Before we go further into the issue, Praveen sir, with respect to Kunal Kamra issues, what is the context of the matter and is it really relevant? How come the news is coming out?
Relevancy is something that is a subject of debate, whether it is exactly relevant or not. But yes, what is the issue? Let's just highlight that first of all. So he took a jibe on the present Deputy Chief Minister of Maharashtra, that is Eknath Shinde, and he took some words in Hindi as Gaddar, in English as traitors, and he actually tried to represent it musically.
Okay.
That is having a parody of a Bollywood song. So this is something which is not very new to India. As the roast culture, we have been watching since more than a decade now. And before the roast culture as well, there have been roasting with regard to the newspapers. That is with regard to the cartoons I'm talking about. And the biggest and the most satirical cartoonist in the realm of politics, it was none other than Balasaheb Thackeray. So his cartoons, his political cartoons, they were not less than roast only towards the politicians and to the political machinery as well. So yes, this time Kunal Kamra, he took a step ahead, no doubt in that. It was a step ahead, but still it was not that, in my opinion, this is.
So what you're trying to say, he went over the top when you're trying to say he went ahead.
A step ahead, but not over the top, I'll say.
Not over the top.
Means, yeah, it was something which was ahead of his specifically his stand-up comedies. It was a step ahead over it, but yes, not over the top, I will say.
And talking about, you took the name of Shiv Sena Supremo Balasaheb Thackeray, that he himself was a cartoonist. Now see the irony of the situation that the person who formed the party, Shiv Sena, being a cartoonist, now his partymen or a kind of his erstwhile partymen, they are sabotaging and doing all each and every of these ruskas based upon a cartoon.
Exactly.
So what do you think that what got us here? How did we come to this situation that starting from a point where a cartoonist could rise to the position of a politician or a supremo, from there to this thing like politicians are unable to take jokes?
I would like to quote here late Manmohan Singh, sir. It's like I admire his economic policies a lot, regardless of what the type of politician he was. Well, I consider him, he was not even a politician. He was an economist. He knew how to run the economy. So, Manmohan Singh, when his beloved friend, Narasimha Rao, when he died, so he gave a statement. His statement was in Hindi, as देश में राजनीति का स्तर गिरा है, लेकिन इतना गिरा है मुझे नहीं पता था. That is, in India, the level of politics has gone down, but it has gone down to this much. I was not this much aware. So presently what we are watching is exactly the same thing, that the level of politics is going down. But point is, are you aware, means like, are you even afraid of a comedian? Means you are one of the nationalist parties, first thing. And apart from that, you are also the individual talking about. You are also the Deputy Chief Minister, erstwhile Chief Minister. Till 2023, he was the Chief Minister itself. So are you that much right now fragile, that your ego is that much fragile, or your image is that much fragile, that you are even troubled because of the comedy, a stand-up comedy? And yes, with all due respect to Kunal Kamra, I'll say, I believe Kunal Kamra is not even that much politically active. when it comes to the other stand-up comedians or other type of people. Kunal Kamra is someone, yes, he has been very brutal in his stand-up performances. No doubt in that, he has been very brutal. But Kunal Kamra, if he is X level of brutal, the other comedians, they have been X plus 10 level of brutal. Point is, it is not the present stand-up comedy of Kunal Kamra that has landed him in this much of trouble. It is his action that he did in 2023. It is because of that the government is actually right now, specifically the organization, they are taking the.
So, sir, from here on, I'd like to move further. Like, let's leave a specific comedian and a specific party aside. I just want you to comment, like, where are we as a society dealing with all these things? Because the names that you're taking, like once upon a time, if I remember very clearly, they like Mr. Shekhar Suman used to do such kind of comedies, taking hit on politicians, and then there have been cartoons in Amul, that brand. It keeps on publishing cartoons, and then there have been R.K. Lakshman, if I'm taking the name correctly, he was a cartoonist and a satirist on these politicians. So let us leave politicians aside for some moment. What do you think, like, society, has it also lost a sense of, like, taking these things normally?
Sir, I was watching this movie, Robocop, 2014, the re-released movie. It is re-released. It means like it was upgraded. So in there was a scene where there was a scientist come entrepreneur whatsoever. He gave a statement that until and unless you let people know what they want, they don't know what they want.
Okay.
Means until and unless you tell to the people that you want this, they won't get to know that yes, they want this. This is what the reality is. So presently also the very same thing is applicable. That people right now, they are not having their own set of thoughts. They are guided by the set of thoughts of some second, third, fourth personalities.
Sir, would you mind if I'd like to take a different opinion over here? Because, like, what you're saying, like, people do not know. But when we talk about our culture, our traditions, like Hasyaras, it has been there in poetries. There have been, like, stage shows happen even in villages where this parody, this comedy is done even till this date, and it has been keep on doing since time immemorial. So to come out and say something like this is something people do not know, I think, like, that would be very simplification of this matter. So what do you think that?
Well, sir, honestly here, it's like, for example, let's say, tomorrow if I go to doctor, and doctor means like if I'm having trouble in walking or just going ahead up the stairs and so on, and tomorrow the doctor will tell me that okay, you are having too much of bad cholesterol in your body and you need to consume, let's say for example, some green tea or black coffee, something like that. So tomorrow when the doctor will tell me, then only I will get to know that yes, green tea is good for cutting down the bad cholesterol, or black coffee, they are good. Okay, these are the things which they are good. It's not like that. Till yesterday I was not aware. I was, but it was not in my notice. The only fact is.
So if I have to paraphrase you, means if I am trying to understand the context, such kind of content, such kind of comedy has always been there among the masses.
Yes.
The only thing is on which point the public will outrage, somebody is telling them.
Exactly.
Am I correct?
Exactly, sir. Exactly the point. Means like we took the name Bala Sahab Thackeray. Means, okay, on a very personal note, I'm a big fan of that guy. Means like the way he used to deliver the speeches and everything. So, sir, tell me, when it comes to the national leaders in India, presently, not the erstwhile, the presently, the 21st century, when it comes to the greatest personalities in Indian politics, do you have any bigger name than Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam?
No.
He is the one, regardless of his religion or a community or someone.
One of the finest person accepted by each and everyone.
Accepted by each and every person from each and every geographical location of our country. Means like he's not considered as a community specific leader. Whatsoever your name is, whatsoever your religion is.
He's a true national leader.
True national leader, right? Bala Sahab Thackeray, he roasted that guy as well.
Okay.
In his cartoon. Like once it happened that he was not able to provide the clear-cut information on some political issues. So he was then means like roasted a lot by the media person at that time.
This is when he was
the president of that president of India at that time, 2005 or 6 of the time period. So at that time, the very next couple of days, in The Hindu only, a cartoon was printed made by Bala Sahab Thackeray. So in that we know it very well that APJ Abdul Kalam was having a distinct set of hairstyle, and he used to keep those long hairs. He used to love keeping those long hairs, and since early stages of his life.
And it was his style.
It was his style trademark, what we can say. So what Bala Sahab Thackeray, he made a cartoon that he is not able to see, and in that cartoon he got his hairs in front of his eyes. And actually, those hairs, he was referring to the Council of Ministers. Okay. So, as because we know we have got Article 74, so President is bound to take the advice and work on the advice of the Council of Ministers only. So, point is, general people think President is not answering, but reality is, we know it very well that it is not the President, it is the Council of Ministers, those who are not letting the President work accordingly. So, there, Bala Sahab Thackeray, he referred the hairs of APJ Abdul Kalam as Council of Ministers, and the hairs are now in front. His forehead is all covered with the hairs, and Mr. APJ Abdul Kalam, great APJ Abdul Kalam, he was sitting like this. It's like, I'm not able to see. See, when it was the time period, a great personality like APJ Abdul Kalam was even roasted, and was roasted by the Supremo of Shiv Sena itself. Right. So it was the time when we were not that much politically aggressive. Or when, to be very honest, it will be correct to say, we were not politically that much aware. Awareness is also one of the things. But right now, we are politically aggressive and politically aware as well. But the only catch here is, our political awareness comes through not so ethical means.
It doesn't come through ethical means, and also I think like it is, we are very selective in this nature.
Exactly.
Like, I want to protect this person or I want to protect that person. I will not hear anything against this person, or I'll not hear anything for this person. Now, what is today, in today's date, it's called as the cancel culture. Somebody not towing to your line, you just cancel them.
Exactly.
However, one point I'd like to mention over here, like maybe the society was not as such, as reactive it has become today, but politicians were always sensitive to such kind of thing. Like, take case of Mrs. Indira Gandhi. I think like she was equally harsh on her critics, let it be cartoonists, let it be columnists. So politicians have always been harsh.
So, sir, with regard to this politicians, Indira Gandhi is an exception, and how to say, present one is also an exception, right? But there is a very big difference between present and the Indira Gandhi time. What is that? That Indira Gandhi at that time was having just two of the medias, that is print and the electronic one. And even electronic one was not much into the vagueness.
And they were totally regulated.
Totally regulated. Presently, what is happening? A ample amount of exposure is there. Not only in the rural areas, but even in the remote areas. Like 4G network is something where now you go to any corner of the country. Means like 6 months back, I was at the borders of Arunachal Pradesh, crossing the Anini region. There, my phone was having 5G network. It's like I was very much surprised with regard to the internet availability.
And just one offbeat remark, this 5G network somehow works better in mountain than in plain.
Well, that's dark reality, sir. So now in the remote areas as well, okay, forget about the rural, urban, whatsoever. In the remote areas as well, densely remoted areas, okay, forest areas, people are exposed to digital media, social media specifically. And what is this social media trying to represent? They are trying to represent just all the illicit things, first of all, and apart from that, propaganda and agenda-based news. And for this, the majority of international organizations, not financial one, but the political one, they are criticizing India at the top of their bucket list. Means I was reading this organization from Columbia University, Global Freedom Index. If you go to their landing page, to their website, their landing page itself is filled with the news from India only. That how fake news, false news, propaganda-based news, it is spreading throughout India, and how these Indians are even reacting positively over this false and fake agendas. So this is what the biggest problem is presently. So Indira Gandhi was having that regulated print media and everything. But present time, we are also having this thing that I cannot regulate it. But yes, I can mislead very well, very easily. So this is what is happening.
Let's take the other side of this thing, what you're trying to say. Let me present it this way, because some way back, I was having discussion on this very issue. In the earlier time, you would need a narrative, you would need a story to overthrow a government, overthrow an incumbent government. In today's date, you do not need all these things. A powerful meme, Instagram trend can topple governments.
Absolutely.
So the sensitivity of any government, I'm just not saying like let it be XYZ particular party from Maharashtra or from UP or from any other state or India as whole. But this sensitivity comes naturally, don't you think so? Because even after doing good thing, if somebody is using these mediums, these powerful mediums of memes and Instagram, they can topple the government for no reason.
Sir, it is like the word fragile again, I would like to mention. Because to just overthrow the government, it is now very easy, right? So, what politicians are trying to represent themselves as a media star.
Hmm.
Okay, it's like they are now lesser of a politician and more of the celebs,
Hmm.
the celebrity thing they are having, right? Now they are having their own PR agencies, they are having their whole team
Hmm.
that is working for their Instagram reels, Facebook reels, YouTube shorts, and everything, right? So in that case, the image of a politician, specifically with regard to such type of the stand-up comedies, is easily distorted, very easily. You can throw some dirts very easily over it. So as of now, presently, with regard to the Kunal Kamra case, once again, the very disturbing and surprising thing is what Kunal Kamra is into the legal trouble. Okay, though fine. Okay, not fine enough, but okay, let's take it. It is the case of defamation, derogatory remarks have been given. Okay, no problem. But what is the fact for the car police to issue notices against the audience, those who were sitting there?
Hmm.
Around 70 people they were there, including the cameraman and everyone. Okay, they were sent legal notices, like not legal notices, actually the interrogation notices.
Hmm.
And one of the guy I was hearing is I was reading his blog. He didn't disclose his name, but he was somewhere from Tamil Nadu working in some corporate company, and he took a leave of some couple of days, and he came to Mumbai for some work, and in that meantime only he attended that stand up comedy. And then he returned back, to his work, and continuously the policemen, they are calling him, harassing him, that you need to come, if you won't come we'll issue the arrest warrant, etc., etc., blah blah. And the problem is, that guy stated that now even if I'm asking for leave, then I do not have any proper option to state. What will I state to my management? That I am going for an interrogation, okay, just because I attended the stand up comedy show. So this is where the politicians, they have become so fragile, because they know it very well that their online image can lead them to make the government, or also lead them to get overthrown from the government. So this is what is happening, and this, the best example is the Delhi Lok Sabha elections, Delhi Assembly elections. What we have seen, Arvind Kejriwal, he lost. It's like not just the Aam Aadmi Party lost the elections. The biggest thing is Arvind Kejriwal lost his constituency, and the biggest strike to his loss was social media. So this is what the thing is, sir.
Okay, this brings us to a very interesting thing. Like we have talked about politicians, we have talked about our culture, society, the other stakeholders. Recently, with regard to the president, you quoted Constitution Article 74 with respect to the president, though you are explaining some different context. What is the stance of our constitution and our constitutional articles when it comes to artistic liberty versus freedom versus something that should not outrage the modesty of someone or something that should not be said which is not appropriate?
Well, sir, to start with, it was 1952, VG Roe versus State of Madras case. And from there, this doctrine of reasonable restrictions came into the Indian constitutional setup. Though it was already there, it's not like it was not like that. But yes, the phrase doctrine of reasonable restriction came into this year 1952. Once again, the name of the case, VG Roe versus State of Madras. Now, this doctrine of reasonable restrictions, and when we read polity as well, specifically the chapter of fundamental rights, we do get to know that the fundamental rights, they're not absolute, first of all. Secondly, they're not divine and sacrosanct as well, as they can be suspended during emergency and martial law. Apart from that, the state has got the absolute authority to impose reasonable restrictions over them. But the concern here is the word reasonable is very vague to define. It's like, how am I going to define that this restriction is reasonable? Means, okay, if I have a daughter or a sister, if I am asking her that, dear, it's now 7 p.m. or 8 p.m., something like that, and please don't step out of the house, is it not reasonable restriction?
Could be, could not be, depending upon the situation, environment.
Depending upon the situation, depending upon the environment, the city I am in, the place I am in, and the condition that city or place is having, right? So that is the exact problem with the reasonable restriction. It is absolutely, based on the reasons of the environment. And this is where the state and the citizens, they are having the tussle. Just answering the whole thing here, what we have specifically, talking about the Kunal Kamra case here once again. Information Technology Act, it was 6th of April 2023, when Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, they came forward with a new rules. It was termed as the Intermediary Guidelines, Digital Ethics Code Rules, something like that. So it was April 2023. It established an FCU, a fact check unit. And this fact check unit could be established only and only by the union government, not even by the state governments, not even by the judiciary or something. Only and only the executive branch, that is the union government, could establish a fact check unit. And this fact check unit will compel the intermediaries here being the social media platforms, from Facebook, Twitter, that is now X, to Instagram, or whatsoever platform it is. So this fact check unit will take care of all the false, misleading, or fake information that is spreading throughout the digital media. Against this, Kunal Kamra, he filed a petition in the Bombay High Court.
Okay.
It was Kunal Kamra. Means,
Okay.
see, Kunal Kamra is a comedian, right? But if you see, sir, that website I was referring about, this Columbia University website, what they have tagged Kunal Kamra as, observant comedian Kunal Kamra.
Okay.
Means, why they have tagged him as observant? Because of his action in April 2023. On 6th of April, this rules they came out, and couple of days later only, Kunal Kamra, he went to Bombay High Court. And surprisingly, Kunal Kamra was supported by some other national level organizations. That is, one of them was this Editors Guild of India, and in Association of Indian Magazines, and Indian Broadcasters Association. Three of the well-reputed national level organizations, they supported Kunal Kamra, and all of these four, that is three organizations and Kunal Kamra, they filed the petition against this new rules. And they stated that there is a term which I often use as well. It is termed as safe harbor. That is Section 79 of the Information Technology Act. That prohibits or actually provides safety to the intermediaries, that is to the platforms, social media platforms, from any false or misleading or the fake news. That is, it is based on user. If I am a user, I have posted something over Instagram, so it is me who should be made liable or answerable for that particular post, neither the this platform, right? So according to this FCU, this new rules of the fact check unit and so on, the intermediaries, they were made liable.
Okay.
So Kunal Kamra and the other three organizations, they just filed the petition, and they said that the safe harbor of Section 79 is being violated because of this digital code rules, digital code ethics rules. So for this, Bombay High Court was actually having the split judgment at that time. So there were two judges. One was Justice Gautam Patel, and another one was Justice Neera Gokhale. So Justice Gautam Patel, he was of the opinion that yes, the petitioners, they are right, as it is violating Section 79 and it is violating Article 14, Article 19, Clause 1, Subclause A, that is right to freedom of speech and expression as well. But Justice Neera Gokhale was of the opinion that no, it's correct, it is subject to reasonable restrictions once again. Now the question was, what is reasonable? How to define reasonable? It is nowhere mentioned. And it is once again a very vague concept, impossible to be defined. Once again, it is subject to the conditions. So at that time, a tiebreaker judge was appointed, Justice Arun Chandrukar, if I'm not wrong. So he also gave the opinion along with Justice Gautam Patel. So 2:1 was there. Justice Neera Gokhale was still against, but Justice Gautam and Justice Chandrukar, they were into the favor of the petitioners only. But the point is, it took almost a year. From April, now it was January 2024 when the judgment came out. So the judgment was is still to be delivered. It didn't came out. It still was to be delivered. But in that meantime, the petitioners, they claimed that to have the interim stay over this intermediary guidelines, the ethics code rules, so called. So what happened? It was date exactly 11th of March 2024 when the petitioners, they claimed this to the Bombay High Court to have the interim stay over this, and Bombay High Court denied that no, we cannot provide any kind of interim stay. Within next 10 days, surprisingly, means just think about that how means like actively and violently these guys were into this particular petition. Within 10 days, that is on 21st of March, Supreme Court gave the judgment that okay, interim stay is allowed. So just imagine, sir, on 11th of March, the judgment from Bombay High Court came out, and immediately those guys went to the Supreme Court as well. And within 10 days only, they got the hearing date. And within 10 days only, on the very first date itself, Supreme Court provided the interim stay to the intermediary guidelines rules as well. Right. So this tells that yes, absolutely, the new rules, they were disturbing the freedom of speech and expression. Absolutely, it was violating. And apart from that, they also gave a punchline that these intermediary guidelines or the new digital ethics code rules, they are also violating the principles of Article 14, as they are only focusing towards digital media and they are not focusing towards the print media. So coming to the point here once again, in India, freedom of expression is always curtailed. Not, it is not the new thing that is okay since last 1 year or 5 years or 10 years. No, since the beginning only. And to provide another punch here, in 2012, it happened to two teenage girls. They were 18 above. Balasaheb Thackeray, he died post Diwali in 2012.
Shreya Singh case.
No, Shreya Singh.
Okay.
That's definite. Balasaheb Thackeray, he died in November 2012, post Diwali, something 13th or 14th November. So over their Facebook, these two means one of the girl, she posted something which was against Balasaheb Thackeray. So she posted something, I don't know
why there is shutdown because of so and so, something like this.
And another girl, her friend only, Facebook friend or whatsoever, she liked and reposted her on her own wall. Within some couple of hours, Mumbai police went to their home and they arrested these two girls. Why? What's the point? What's the logic? There is no point for those two girls to be arrested. Wasn't it a grave violation of the fundamental right of speech and expression? Though it would have been if, according to the Article 19 Clause 2, if reasonable restrictions concept would have been active there. As the reasonable restriction that comes in, that is defined once. You cannot be derogatory against the dignity of an individual. You cannot speak anything against the national freedom struggle, the national heritage, the defense machinery of the country, as well as, yes, you have to take care of the constitution as well. So point is that Facebook post was nowhere derogatory. It even didn't mention Balasaheb Thackeray. It was referring indirectly to Balasaheb Thackeray, but still that happened. Okay, and those girls, they were not more than 20 years of age. Those girls, they landed themselves into the legal strife. But why? So point is, in India, freedom of speech and expression has been a subject to huge debates and questions since the beginning of the constitution, starting with the A.K. Gopalan case itself. Why A.K. Gopalan was in prison? Why? Because he was having much of the public command and the public reach as compared to the other parties contesting the election. So it is a big question, sir.
This brings me to a very interesting aspect to which I want to point out. Like all the detailings about events that you said, okay, in this month this is happening, High Court is giving the judgment, Supreme Court is coming on that, then some foreign entity is also involved. So don't you think like there could be certain hidden powers working in the in the shadows of these comedians or something to instill turbulence in a nation or something like that? There could be some covert kind of operations could be done in these names. So we would be needing these things for national security, integrity, sovereignty. Why won't we needing that?
Sir, are you targeting towards Illuminati?
No, it's not about Illuminati. That's But in just a way, like all these pointers which are there. Now, to put it in a more better perspective, let me take it this way. If I say it like this, these are the certain restrictions which have been put upon, but the discretion to use them by those who are in power, it has not been done responsibly. Because I think like such kind of restrictions would be required, especially in a diverse set of nation like us, where anyone from anyone to everyone is having certain opinions, but the discretion to use that power, that should that power be used or not used, it should be used, but it should not be abused. That discretion has to come in.
Totally true.
But right now, my question to you is that kind of discretion, I don't see it coming out, because at the stake is something like power corridors. Nobody would like to, give up their entry or their privilege to the power corridors. So, what do you think? Like, where do you see the convergence for the future? How do you see this issue unfolding? Because this is not one-time issue. Again, such kind of things would come up.
Sir, we are sitting on a time bomb
Okay.
that could explode any moment. And if these things are not sorted as early as possible, it will lead to a wide scale civil war in our country. Just the situations like happening in Sudan, Eritrea, Bangladesh, though people now would be thinking that why I am comparing great nation of India with such hostile nations. But yes, the fact is, right now, the hidden forces that you were mentioning, it's very clear with this Kunal Kamra's petition into the Bombay High Court. What is his eligibility and what is his stand towards the Information Technology Act? And how and why he was so much keen towards those things? Obviously, it is telling that there was a background force
Foods.
that used Kunal Kamra as a
Ah.
this efficacy or whatsoever, okay, and they then reached the Bombay High Court and then further to the Supreme Court as well. Because sir, just think, just 10 days from 11th
No,
March
that's
to
that's
21st
understood.
March.
That's why
Right.
I'm saying like
Yeah.
we are not, means both the sides are totally valid or justified in one way or the other. But if okay, sir, now let's move towards the conclusion part. Like if I have to ask you, such and such cases have come up. Like if you have to propose a solution, if you have to say like these are the rational ground, these are something sensible ground over which we should act, or these are certain things that we should implement, what would be?
So first and foremost, I will say that is already stated by many of the great personalities in the past. I would just like to recode them here. Education is the only key through which you can protect and develop a society. Here, our education system is at the biggest loophole corner. Because in a school, for example, my focus as a student is on subjects like physics, chemistry, maths, biology. Because my parents and my teachers are also having this focus only. Neither my parents and neither the teachers nor those teachers those who are teaching political science or civics, that is social sciences, they are providing much this concentration or focus to these subjects. For me, in my boards, high school boards or plus 2 boards, these are the subjects that will only provide me some extra amount of percentage. That's it. I read about parliament, I read about fundamental rights in my ninth and 10th standards only. But do I remember them? Never. Absolutely not. Even if I'm taking humanities in the plus 2, then also it is for me just, to mug it up and then go to the examination hall, write as much as you can, and then come out. Okay. So, point is, I need to make my masses aware that there is something known as fundamental rights. There is something also known as fundamental duties. What is the concept of secularism? Not secularism. You have to be secular and don't be pseudo secular. If you want to be secular, don't be pseudo secular. That okay, 3 religions are correct, one is wrong. Okay, don't be that. So the only measure, the only this redressal that we can have through such type of grievances is make yourself aware, crystally aware. Don't fall into the trap of the others. That is, they are there to manipulate you. They are there to fabricate your mind, because it is leading them to gain their own political mileage. It is leading them to gain their own good mentions and bungalows or whatsoever. Where are the masses? The masses, they are still in the huts. The masses, they are still struggling for, the two-time meal.
The slogans, that is why the slogans have remained the same. Like, we will
Yes.
remove poverty, and poverty is being removed since we have got independence till there. So this brings me to the last segment of this thing. Uh, you have talked about like education playing a key role in these cases, people being aware. So this is where I'd like to bring in the discussion or the topic at the end, like the level of comedy which is being done or which being done today. It's not that great comedy which is being done. The very first question to you is that, with respect to this context, do you agree with this thing or not?
Well, so I how to answer this? I don't think so. I will be giving my agreement to this.
No issues with that.
Yeah.
Now, what you quoting from that premise and giving you a premise, what you said, like, people are not aware. It's just not about the fundamental rights, fundamental duties. Even at at the content consumption level, I think that IQ level is not there where you can quote, you can do a sensible comedy and expect people to understand that.
Indeed.
The kind of content consumption which people are doing, it is forcing in a way the comedians to come to curse word, to come to abusive words, to come to comedy which is revolving around your sex organ parts.
Exactly. So this is what the point is, sir. That is, even I will say, though trying to defend the comedians and the stand-up comedies and the fragile ego and images of the politicians, still I will say that being a stand-up comedian, I am a public figure. Even 100 people are only following me, okay, but still, because I hold the mic, I hold the stage, I am a public figure. And it should be my responsibility. Yes, to criticize the government is my democratic right, is my legal fundamental right as well.
Hmm.
But that criticism should be also kept under the element of respect. Because if I am only teaching my followers or the teenagers, in fact, majorly, okay, or the college going kids or the very young age people, okay, not even just age whatsoever, young age, old age, whatsoever, I am making them to hear those things against my nation, against my government, which could tomorrow lead to a different segmentation into the society.
Very correct.
So, this I have to take care that because of my comedy, a different segmentation, a different stratification is not done.
Very correct.
And absolutely, yes, once again, to provide the clear cut answer, yes, criticizing the government is my democratic right, but I have to take care the element of respect. Whatsoever the government is, whosoever the president, prime minister is, it's the prime minister of India, it's the president of India, and do not create any type of a dirt on the image of India.
Very correct. And this also brings me to point out that as a comedian, your duty is towards your comedy.
Exactly.
It should not depend against whom you are doing the comedy. Like, it should not become a unilateral segment where a particular comedian is targeting a particular politician, a particular party, and vice versa. Like, some other comedian is targeting a particular politician or XYZ party. So, as a comedian, let it be whomsoever doing wrong, whomsoever doing absurd thing, you point it out. And I think the day it will start, that where comedians, instead of nitpicking politicians and political party, they'll start picking up issues, no matter with which party, with which politician those issues belong to. I think that day, all of this thing, that public unilateral reactions which they are having, I think it will evaporate, and that day all those things that you're talking about, acceptance and each and everything, awareness and everything, that will go on a better path.
Well, sir, to conclude, I must have stated this earlier, but to conclude, I would like to add one more element here. That is with regard to how to eliminate these issues and how to be aware. Apart from education, sir, this is also the responsibility of the fourth pillar of democracy, that is media.
Hmm.
Means, I don't know how to.
Media itself has become a parody.
Absolutely. Media itself has right now become a parody, and a big parody. and how to quote their name, as there is a social media name people might get into the comment box later on, that the media is given another name as well. Okay, so point is, our media from every news channel, first of all, I am very much surprised that in India there is no rank 2 number channel, rank 2 channel. Every news channel they claim India's rank 1, India's rank 1. I'm just too much interested in knowing that which is rank 2 and rank 3 in India.
It's a good startup idea. We are number 2 news channel.
So point is, our media, they have been too much involved and too much busy when it came to India's Got Latent issue or even the Kunal Kamra issue. But are they representing what happened with Yashwant Verma case, Justice Yashwant Verma case, or what has happened in the Chandratal area very freshly, and apart from that in the Karnataka or Tamil Nadu or Kashmir or Northeast? Too much of the issues are going on with regard to multiple of the government policies. So media needs to act, and this is a shame to them as well. There is an organization, sir, named as Reporters Without Borders. Their last year report, that is their fresh report, it has stated that out of 180 nations,
Press Freedom Index,
the Global Press Freedom Index, out of 180 nations, Indian media stands at 159th rank. And surprisingly, the media of Pakistan, Afghanistan, Turkey, and many more, they are having better rank than Indian media. It's a shame to media. It's a big shame to you guys. Aware. Means like you guys, every morning you wake up. You guys don't awaken, right? So it's time for you to awaken yourself and have a discussion as well. Call a panel there on your media and tell them that why your ranking is 159 out of 180 countries.
That's great insight, sir. So I think like we are good to end this segment with a note that it's not just a issue of a comedian versus a single party. The way we discuss holistically, there are multiple stakeholders involved. Awareness definitely becomes one of the key point. At the same time, those who are wielding power, they should have a better judgment when they're wielding the power. And also for the comedians, their honesty, their truth lies with comedy, not with any unilateral agenda. We just hope, friends, this issue would have given you, our discussion would have given you much more insight in this matter, would have made you aware. We'll see you again with some new topic, better topic. And Praveen sir, thank you for joining me. Thanks a lot for this healthy discussion. Thank you.